Look, we need to talk about what just happened in Los Angeles, and I'm going to break this down for you the way it is without all the noise and all the drama that you're hearing everywhere else. A sitting mayor got caught on camera breaking election law. That's the story. Spencer Pratt filed a formal complaint with video evidence, and right now Karen Bass is facing real questions about whether she understands the laws she's supposed to enforce. Now, you might hear the term electioneering, quote unquote, thrown around. So let me explain what that actually means in plain English. It's simple. Electioneering is when someone campaigns for votes with 100 feet of a ballot box. That's it. California has that law for a reason. And we're going to get into why. And here's what we're doing today. We're breaking down exactly what happened, why these election laws exist in the first place, and what it says about accountability when someone in power decides the rules don't apply to them. No sensationalism, no jumping to conclusions, just facts and what the consequences should be. So, as you guys see here on Spencer Pratt X account, it says Karen Bass just violated the election law here. She is so accustomed to breaking the law with no accountability. She even filmed herself doing it. Well, those days are over. We just filed a formal complaint for illegally gaming the election. We must protect our democracy. Electioneering within 100 feet of a ballot box is against the law. Soliciting votes at a ballot box is against the law. These clear violations show a reckless disregard for the rule of law in our democratic process. Someone in a position of power should be especially respectful of our democratic laws, but this is just emblematic of Karen's mafia like regime. It's rules for thee, but not for me, quote unquote. Here is the formal complaint we filed this morning. We will uphold the rule of law and our democratic norms. Enjoy your conference calls with your lawyers, Karen. And this was said, dear Miss Lattimore, writing on a letter on behalf of my client. And obviously, this is Spencer Pratt's lawyer. This letter constitutes a formal complaint and demand that your office immediately investigate and take all appropriate enforcement against Mayor Karen Bass for a violation of the City of Los Angeles election code. All right. So you guys have it. You guys see it. There's the proof in the pudding. It's there. And just so you guys know what we're talking about, this is what he's referring to because, as you guys see, LA Mayor Ray Spencer Pratt noticed that Karen Bass filmed herself violating California election law by campaigning next to a ballot box. He's filed a complaint. Should she be disqualified? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. That's an interesting question. But check this out.
Hello, everybody. All right. We're on the countdown. On the countdown. Just one more week. One more week. Let me just thank you so much for all of your support. I know you have been walking precincts. You've been making phone calls. You've been over there at the headquarters because we're gonna bring this to home base and win, right? I even have the babies on my side. Babies for Bass. All right. You're never too young. Hi, Joy. Thank you. Babies for Bass. Here we go. One more vote to win. One more vote to win. All right. There you go. Done. Well, I have to say that you should vote today. Fill out your ballot, hand it to your postal worker, or come to a voting box like this. We have a few days left in this election, and we are going to take it to victory. And
There you have it, folks. So walking through the receipts, because Spencer Pratt did make accusations, as you guys see without proof, filing that formal complaint, releasing the video evidence showing Karen Bass campaigning at a location near a ballot box. The footage is clear. She's there talking to voters, promoting her campaign right next to where people are voting. You see her in campaign material with quote unquote babies for Bass messaging, literally holding babies and asking people to vote for her while she's standing near a voting location. That's the violation. She's directly soliciting votes at a ballot box, which is explicitly against California election law. Now, let me explain why the law exists, because this isn't about being technical or playing gotcha. The 100 feet rule exists to protect people's rights to vote without pressure or influence from campaigns. And it also raises the questions, family, if she feels this comfortable. Let me know what you guys think about this because we're just having a conversation. If she feels so comfortable being able to violate this law, being so close to a ballot box and soliciting votes, what is the danger of you trusting this ballot box that she's casting the ballot in along with others where she's not even supposed to be nowhere near this ballot box? What does it really show, or what does it really signify in regards of if your vote is actually going to be honored? Because if she can violate the law in regards of being an individual that's running and using her campaign to break the law just to try to win an election, what does that tell you at the detriment of your votes for those who are in that ballot box that don't agree with her, that vote differently besides babies for bass, quote unquote? Hmm. It makes you wonder, should I just make sure I go put my vote in the machine so it don't get altered or messed with or, somewhat disconfigured in the process because it isn't a vote that the individual that's running, the candidate or incumbent in this case, um, happens to violate the law anyway. So will she violate the law and take it further to basically withdraw my vote or make sure it's meaningless because the simple fact I didn't vote for her? Let me know what you guys think about that. It raises bigger questions. So when you're trying to cast your ballot, you should feel safe. Is my point. Doing that without someone in power standing right there trying to convince you one way or the other. It's about maintaining the integrity of the voting process. And it also actually validates and gives more substance and proof to justify why our president, Donald Trump, actually wants the, Save America Act. This is proof in the pudding, and they're giving him justification and evidence of why it should be justified. If I'm not mistaken, the Supreme Court already allowed where voter ID for President Trump a federal judge, not Supreme Court, a federal judge has allowed the protection of voter ID to take place and didn't block it from what our president has been pushing for, verification. But however, this right here and the whole law of the 100 feet rule was to maintain integrity of the voting process and making sure people can make their own decisions without intimidation. The law protects voter independence. That's the whole point. So here's the thing that makes this worse. Karen Bass knew the law. She's the mayor of Los Angeles. She knows California's election code. Yet she did it anyway and actually filmed herself doing it, and she recorded the evidence of her own violation and put it out there. So when Spencer Pratt called her out with that footage, instead of taking responsibility, she acted like she didn't understand what the problem was. That's the hypocrisy. Not only did she break the law, but she seemed shocked that anyone would call her out for it. You don't get to be the chief executive of a city and then act confused about election law. And it raises another question. Are you really competent enough, because you don't even know the law that you just broke? As you being the chief executive of a city shows that you obviously don't study the law to make sure it's enforced, which is why lawlessness has run rampant in the city of Los Angeles. So are you really qualified at this point? So this isn't about politics or left versus right or Democrat versus Republican, because if a Republican did the same thing, we'll be having the same conversation. This is about the basic rules that every single person is supposed to follow. If you or I went and stood at a ballot box trying to convince people how to vote, we'll face consequences. As a citizen, we'll be breaking the law. But when a mayor does it, the question becomes whether she faces those same consequences or whether her position somehow puts her above the rules everyone else has to live by. And that's what we're really talking about here, if we want to be honest. Now, let's talk about why she's getting desperate enough to do something like this in the first place. Back in 2023, Karen Bass made a promise to the people of Los Angeles. She looked at the camera and told Jake Tapper on CNN that her goal was to end street homelessness in LA by 2026. But now you have individuals saying if President Trump actually endorses Spencer Pratt, it's the cherry on top because it would turn Los Angeles red because of how much of a disgrace critics are saying that Los Angeles is, let alone the promise to end homelessness has nowhere near or nowhere far from being complete or achieved. And in Karen Bass' justification, she feels as though we need more time, right? The stretch and basically dangle a carrot in your face and say what the problem is, and I got a solution for it, but then stretch it out in regards to be elected again is her intent to continue up the process. But she said in her own mouth that it would be completed by a certain time frame. The voters didn't tell her a certain time frame, and she didn't complete it. But this also raises the question, and I want to know you guys' thoughts. If President Trump endorses Spencer Pratt, knowing his track record, we already done seen Ken Paxton over there, basically, who was endorsed by Trump, and a lot of every basically Trump is 50-0, like Floyd Mayweather, the boxer, right? He's undefeated when it comes to his endorsements. And those candidates actually winning, which is a beautiful thing, right? It shows how effective his influence is. And a lot of people that say MAGA is dying, but it shows the opposite. And also the simple fact that um, we know that as a businessman, as President Trump is, and a real estate success entrepreneur he is, we know that everything he does has to come down to strategy. So this would definitely help Spencer Pratt. Spencer Pratt is already doing phenomenal. I mean, blowing out the water, countless campaigns, advertisements, you name it. With AI, the creativity is out this water. Blew it out the ballpark. Phenomenal, resonates with people. But just the work from Spencer Pratt has him surging. But this will blow it out the water, in my opinion, because of the strategic approach that President Trump has when it comes to his endorsements. Right? Let me know what you guys think about that. But let's check this out real quick. I feel like this is interesting.
Pratt, do you see yourself in him at all? A former reality TV star?
No, I'd like to see him do well. He's a character. I don't know him. I assume he probably supports me. Does he support me?
Think so?
I think so, yeah. I heard he does. I heard he's a big MAGA person. He's doing well. I don't know. If you have a rigged vote out there, that's the problem. The votes are rigged.
Pratt, do you see yourself in
Well, that was our president's remarks. But also, I feel like what our president Donald Trump, our president and Spencer Pratt have in common, they are very phenomenal at marketing. Their name alone is like $1 million asset. This the marketing and the way that Donald Trump leads with our president leads with the positive things, right? The successes, which then lures you in to say, yo, this man has accolades and also based on merit to qualify for what he's saying. And you see the same thing with Spencer Pratt. He shows the receipts to qualify himself for what he's saying as effective with the receipts, right? And I believe that just as, like I said, the way President Trump endorsed Ken Paxton and basically blown out the incumbent John Cornyn out the water, I believe this would definitely just the icing on the cake. Karen Bass will be poof, gone. And the other one, Ramen Nadia, whatever her name is. I forgot her name. Basically, this woman, family. Nadia Ramen. There we go. I botch a lot of names, but I know what I'm talking about, so I like to show the receipts. Right? So now, I find this was interesting. This is what I was talking about before I showed you guys just having an interesting conversation in regards of if Trump endorsed Spencer Pratt. And let me know you guys' thoughts about that in the comments and give this video a big thumbs up if you're enjoying the conversation thus far. So, as I mentioned, Karen Bass basically saying and telling Jake Tapper on CNN that her goal was to end homelessness in LA by 2026. That was the promise. She said it like she meant it. She made it a cornerstone of her campaign. Fast forward to now, it's 2026 and homelessness hasn't ended. It's gotten worse. The numbers are going in the wrong direction, and when CNN asked her how she could be so far from what she promised, she didn't take responsibility. Check it out.
Jake Tapper, in 2023, you said that your goal was to end street homelessness in LA by 2026. It's now 2026.
And we haven't ended it.
We have not ended it, and we're not close to ending it. How are you?
It's mind blowing to me how she talks in third person like she's not the one that's still in charge as a mayor. And we haven't ended it. Is it just me, family, or it throws me off? It comes across to me, it just throws me off.
So off?
Well, basically, when I said that, it was at the beginning of my term. I am very committed to achieving that goal. I didn't anticipate some of the bureaucratic barriers that I would experience, but I am prepared to take those on now. And let me just give you an example. Los Angeles made a decision probably 20, 25 years ago to not address street homelessness, to focus solely on building. And granted, I have fast-tracked 42,000 units of affordable housing, but it still takes a couple of years.
It's mind blowing to me, and it's the last time I'm gonna pause it. She mentioned 25 years ago, but she made the promise to end homelessness by 2026, and now she's deflecting and blaming 2 decades ago and 5 years. 2 decades and 5 years, or 2 decades ago. Hmm. Interesting.
So basically, the policy of LA City and LA County was we could accept street homelessness as long as we were building. We didn't anticipate the problem metastasizing. In my 3.5 years, for the first time, 2 years in a row, street homelessness has decreased in our city. There hadn't been a decrease before. That is a quality of life issue that impacts all Angelenos. Whether you are unhoused or whether you run a business and your business can't function because there's tents outside, whether you're a parent that's trying to navigate through tents to get to school, or whether it's residents where it has decreased the quality of life. So this is a problem that all Angelenos experience, and we have got to have a commitment that this has to end. The city and the county never made that commitment before, and I found something that surprised me. I found a lot of people who work internal in the system who were very resistant to ending street homelessness.
But you promised that it would go away 100%, and it's only gone down about 17.6%.
Right.
So why should people trust you that you're going to be able to get to the 100%?
Because let me just tell you, for the first time, we've had a decrease at all. There was not a decrease before at all because there was no commitment to get rid of street encampments. And we had encampments all over the city. So I would ask for people's trust in the sense that we have absolutely made progress. We know what we need to do now to end street homelessness. We need to end the failed policies of the past, which is all we're going to do is focus on building, and we are going to ignore street homelessness. That is what the city and the county has done for years, ignored street homelessness.
Well, there you have it, family. She comes off as reasonable, as basically a common sense explanation of saying, okay, she knows the issue. She doesn't have a part there. The issue is, what have you done that qualifies you to continue to justify the trust that citizens should have in you? It's like, for example, family, you go apply for a job and you say all these nice things based on the qualifications you know, based on the job description to the job you're applying, and you're just regurgitating or repeating the same thing that the job description is saying, but you have nothing to prove that you have the hands-on skills to justify why you should be trusted to get the job. It's the same thing. She blamed bureaucratic barriers. She didn't say she said she didn't anticipate the problem. She basically told you that she made a promise without thinking it through. That's what quote unquote didn't anticipate means in plain language. She promised something without understanding what she was actually dealing with. Now let me be clear about what's really happening here. She made a promise to get elected. She got the vote she needed, and then when it came to deliver, the problem turned out to be harder than she thought. That's not a reason to make excuses. That's a reason to work harder, or you admit you were wrong. Instead, she's been deflecting for 3.5 years. The people of LA knows this. They see the difference between what she promised and what she's actually delivered. That's why Spencer Pratt is surging in this race. It's not because people are excited about him necessarily. It's because they're fed up with Bass. They're tired of the excuses. They're tired of the homelessness problem getting worse, and they're tired of the crime. They're tired of the streets looking like they did. And when a leader loses the trust of the people, those people start looking around for someone else, anyone else, to try instead. That's where Pratt comes in. Now look at the numbers on fundraising, and you see how badly Bass's campaign is falling apart, right? She raised barely 230,000 for her reelection campaign, which I find interesting. In that matter, Spencer Pratt has raised over 2 million. Think about that for a second. A sitting mayor, an incumbent with the power of the office, the machinery of the city government behind her, is getting out fundraised by a challenger by almost 10-1, which I just find interesting to me within that matter. Find it very, very interesting, family. And that doesn't happen unless people have completely lost confidence in her leadership, obviously. And the gap between the money tells you everything you need to know about the gap between her promises and her delivery. Her campaign is imploding because voters have done the math. They looked at what she promised and what she delivered, and they realized the two don't match up. When a leader loses that kind of public trust, they start making desperate moves. And that's exactly what we're looking at with the election law violation. When leaders feel cornered, when they feel like they're losing power, they start thinking they can break the rules to stay in power. And when you're ahead, you don't risk your reputation by breaking the law. But when you're behind and scared, that's when you can make mistakes, right? You never do things out of desperation, I learned in life, because the simple fact is when desperation takes place, just like a high emotions or being very highly emotional, all logic leaves the room. But that's when you think maybe I can bend the rules just for just this once. Maybe nobody will call me out. Maybe people won't care. And in Bass's case, maybe she didn't think Spencer Pratt would have the courage to file a formal complaint and go public with it. But that's exactly what he did. He got the receipts, he filed the complaint, and he made it public. And now Bass is dealing with the consequences of thinking she was untouchable, which I feel like is going to put a wrench more in her reelection as well, because basically she just did a self-inflicted wound based on desperation. It could come off like family, right? I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just giving you the information and we just having a conversation. But here's what I need you to understand, and this is important. This isn't just a Los Angeles story. Election integrity isn't a partisan issue. It's not about Democrat or Republicans. It's the foundation. It's foundational to how democracy works at all. When leaders start breaking the rules they're supposed to enforce, you got a real problem on your hands. And it's not just about one violation at one ballot box. It's about the message that sends. If American campaign at a ballot box with no consequences, then what's the point of having a law at all? If the person running the city doesn't have to follow election law, then why should anyone else? You created a system where the rules don't matter, where power determines what's legal and what's not. And that's a domino effect that destroys everything. The real victims in this situation aren't politicians. They're not even Spencer Pratt. The real victims are the people who live in Los Angeles and depend on honest government to work. And when your mayor is so focused on staying in power that she's willing to break the law to do it, that tells you what her priorities are. They are not your problems. They are not homelessness or a crime or the fires or the condition of the streets. Her priority is keeping power. Bass had years to address the serious problems in LA, and she ignored homelessness. She ignored crime. She ignored infrastructure problems. The city deteriorated under her watch, and when voters started looking at other options, when they started losing faith in her leadership, instead of doing the work to earn their trust back, she decided to try to cheat. And that tells you everything you need to know about her character. This is fundamentally about accountability, about rather no one is above the law, or rather people in power get special treatment. Because if America break the election law and face no real consequences, then what does that say about your system? It says the rules don't apply to people at the top. It says that if you have power, you can do whatever you want. And that's the kind of thinking that destroys communities from the inside out. And people need to know that their government respects the law. They need to know that the rules apply to everyone equally. And when that breaks down, trust breaks down with it. And once you lose trust in your institutions, you got a serious problem that goes way beyond one election in one city. So, and this is TMZ founder. I found this interesting. I wanted to come across to have a conversation with you guys about as well. TMZ founder Harvey Levin predicts Spencer Pratt will finish first in LA mayoral primary. Says if Pratt debates Karen Bass, he will kick her behind. Levin, I think Spencer Pratt is going to be in a runoff with Karen Bass, and I also think that he's going to get more votes than her. The Gargles, the real competition right now is between Rahman and Pratt as to who's going to come in second, unless you think. So I want you guys to check this out.
I think Spencer Pratt is going to be in a runoff with Karen Bass, and I also think that he's going to get more votes than her.
First of all, you said last week, and I want to reiterate this, this primary is 50+1. Otherwise, it's a runoff.
Right. It's going to be a runoff.
Right. And so the real competition right now is between Rahman and Pratt as to who's going to come in second, unless you think
I don't think he's coming in second. I think he's coming in first. How's this? When Spencer and Karen Bass face off in the general election, do you think that she is going to debate him? Because I think if she does, he will kick her ass.
I don't think there's any chance that she debates him. And I would have told you 2 weeks ago that I thought that he was going to finish third. The fact that you're discussing or handicapping now that he finishes first out of three.
Oh, I absolutely
it's absolutely amazing.
So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with TMZ founder Harvey Levin about Spencer Pratt being in first and kicking Karen Bass behind, let alone on top of the violation law that Karen Bass just committed as a self-inflicted wound out of desperation? Let me know what you guys think. I just think that was interesting food for thought conversation. Spencer Pratt fires back at a reporter, and when he was asked about his plan for the homelessness, he says that uh, they will all end up in Seattle. Reporter, what are your plans for the 440,000 homeless in Los Angeles? Well, they're not homeless; they're drug addicts, quote unquote. These people have been busted by scam rehab, scam NGOs, scam homeless nonprofits. These people, when I unplug them, they're all going to Seattle, where the mayor will welcome them, quote unquote, as you guys see within the quotes that I just read. Let's check this out.
Plans for the over 40,000 homeless in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, they're not homeless. They're drug addicts. Most of these people are addicted to fentanyl and meth. This isn't Spencer
Are you
making
saying they
it up.
don't have homes?
There is places for all of these people to sleep in LA. No matter what anybody tells you, we have housing and shelter for everyone that's living on the street. They are choosing to be on the street because they want to do drugs. They don't want rules. They don't want to listen. They want to have animals to abuse. This idea that they're forced on the street right now is a lie.
I think that's an interesting conversation because of all this money in regards of I have been coming across on social media, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm always open to the possibility of being wrong. That drug kits or needles was actually being given to addicts. And the simple fact to continue to add fuel to the fire to basically, you know, basically support their habits of being addicted. Now, I do think that mental institutions should help these individuals, but it also, which Pratt is saying, which I think makes sense, is if we have this much money to basically continue to support their habits of destroying themselves and basically, harming themselves to the simple fact to all the way to the what can lead to the ultimate result of death, then you're not going to tell me that we don't have mental institutions for them to go, such as rehabilitation places and things like that. But because the simple fact is, why would all these nonprofits that call themselves helping but supporting a cause instead of decreasing homelessness be giving them kits with needles and things like that to continue to support their bad habits, let alone possibly to the ultimate result of death and them staying in the streets when they have these places to live and go and being able to be sheltered. But the reality is, when addiction is so strong and addiction is being fed, who cares where they want to live, because they have what they need, what they want, I should say. In their mind is what they need. Their need is the drug, and the drug is the chase. And in their mind is, I got what I need, so who cares where I live or stay? Because the simple fact is, out here I can still access the drug. And I believe that's what Spencer Pratt is saying. And as you guys can see in Minnesota, as an example, with the Somali daycare fraud, not saying that it's Somalians as a whole, but just that situation and the fraud running rampant through Minnesota, nonprofits have been a popular thing to funnel, you know, American taxpayer money through federal grants or federal monies as a way to help a cause. But it comes to find out that the cause is actually being supported, so it continues to be a problem to funnel funds. For example, there's something that came out with the KKK, right? The activist group that was supposed to stop racism to basically promote unity and make race colorless, to the simple fact that we all diversify and embrace each other and love each other for the sake of humanity, man or woman. But the simple fact is, it happens to be that the KKK was being funded by the activist group that was supposed to prevent racism from running rampant. So if the cause keep being alive and being able to survive and the cause stays alive, then the nonprofit stays alive, which justifies the monies that keep coming. So I think that's what he's correlating this to with the drug addicts. If they're being basically used as props in a way to continue to basically be a stable voter base where we can provide you the drugs that you want in exchange for your vote to stay in power, and we don't really fix the solution, but we can continue to stretch this out where other people in the process of these nonprofits who who know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody all get money and profit off of destruction of individuals who are killing themselves. And let alone, I don't know how they sleep at night knowing that you're basically supporting someone that is slowly killing themselves. This is a family member. This is a loved one, right? When the main cause is supposed to help them as much as possible. Now you can't you could take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I understand that. I've tried to give food to a homeless person and they just wanted the money to feed their drugs. And I even offered to take them to McDonald's. I always speak on this experience, and they can be very groggy or very mean, right? Not saying they're doing it intentionally, but they can come off very entitled because, no, I want the money. I don't want the food. But yeah, but sir, you just came up to my vehicle and you just asked me Hey, do you got a couple hours so I get some food? And I offer to take you, which is a risk, bring you in my car or drive you if you or go into the McDonald's with you if you happen to be at that McDonald's that's right at the restaurant, or you happen to be at the McDonald's I'm in the drive to get food for my kid or something, you know? So then I say, okay, we can go into the McDonald's. I'll walk in there with you and I'll buy it and pay you and you enjoy your meal and you have a good day. No, I want the money. I want the money. It's because the chase, right? You can even make a home cooked meal and deliver it out, and they'll throw it on the floor in front of you. Some individuals, because they want the drug.
That our city is perpetuating. We've paid $24 billion to house these 40,000 people. There's spots for all of these people. They are choosing because they're an addict, and you can do fentanyl and super meth on the sidewalk with no repercussions. These places are not as they have to follow some rules. You can't torture a dog in some of these houses. You can't just attack people. You can't just be naked.
Where are you going to move?
Well, I just released a 9-minute video, so you can.
I think I saw your video.
Yeah, so it's very detailed.
But it's going to take time to build the facility and money.
No.
How fast do you think you can do it?
These people can literally. I went to Washington and I saw miles of the most insane prefabricated housing and building. I asked all the CEOs of these companies, I said, how long does this take? I met with FEMA and HUD, 3 days. 3 days. And all of this is cheaper than trying to take over, kick senior citizens out.
And it also raises questions, sorry family, this is the last time I'm gonna pause it, that I believe that it should be a requirement for public officials that are running for office or any type of government position to have a background of having a successful business or a business background or knowing how to run a business. For example, I believe that you should run a country like a business, let alone run a state. Because you're starting to see these long drawn out politicians who never ran a private company, who never had a company, who never had experience of running their own business, are trying to draw out these long processes to make it like, oh, it's going to take longer. It's going to take 4 years. And Spencer Pratt, and you also see Donald Trump, the same similar characteristics of, no, this is not going to take long. I can do this in 3 months that the Biden administration or whoever previous administration said that would take 4 years to do. Just like, for example, the railroad line project in California from Governor, what's his name? Governor Gavin Newsom, right? The railroad is still taking a long project, but it's the way to streamline monies to continue to take as long as to make it as long as possible to be drawn out. So more money coming in, the contractors get paid longer, and whoever is doing something wrong, if they are allegedly doing something illegal, they can draw it out to continue to exploit and take more money from the American taxpayer. There's already properties there. There's already buildings there. And he just said that can be refabricated to be more phenomenal. But they want to make these new buildings all drawn out to continue funding monies, extra monies. And then sometimes, coincidentally, the new buildings have more problems than the ones that could have been prefabricated that's already have a solid foundation that's just been sitting there for years abandoned that could have been re-renovated or, redone and gutted out.
Out of their buildings is what happens. They kick them out, and then the NGOs come in and they spend 4 years. This is LA. This is LA's timetable.
Where is this facility going to be?
It's on beautiful federal land property.
Where, in LA County?
Well, when I'm mayor, I'll go meet with the federal government and I'll get the property. Right now, I'm just running, so I can't give you the exact address because I don't have the legal responsibility to go represent Los Angeles and say, can I have this land? But when I'm mayor, I promise you, because we have the Olympics coming and everybody in the government wants LA to be the #1 most beautiful city, they will work with me to give me the land I need.
So you're going to move these 40,000 people somewhere and you're going to have this facility up in, you said how long?
Here's what you got to realize.
90 days?
Let me explain something. These 40,000 people, 60% of them, City Watch just announced this week, are not from Los Angeles. They're not from California. These people have been bussed in by scam rehabs, scam NGOs, scam homeless nonprofits. These people, when I unplug them and say, we're not taking our tax money anymore, they're all going to Seattle where the mayor will welcome them. These are products to a lot of people. So the people that want to keep doing drugs and live on the sidewalk, a lot of these people are going to leave. The other ones, there's a lot of criminals. There's people that are getting naked in front of kids. They're going to jail. The people that are torturing animals, they're going to jail. So not everyone goes in the same box. So we have the money, we have the resources, and we have the facilities.
There you have it. Basically, he's saying that the individuals will scatter because the simple fact is they'll realize that the opportunity can see this as free money in the name of so-called helping those such as the homeless or addicts who really need help, and they are not genuinely doing the work. They just seen an opportunity in California as a way to commit fraud, allegedly. Now I say allegedly because, but this is what he's saying, as a way to streamline monies to get free money by not actually fixing the cause, but as a way to look through loopholes to commit fraud in an illegitimate way to run a business in the name of nonprofits to continue to profit and enrich themselves without actually doing the
What are your
cause in
plans
the
for the
name of
over
nonprofit that they claim that they're doing it for. But it shows you where it's not really about, serving others. The most successful business realize that you take yourself out of it and serve to the fullest extent those of others. The best service you give to others and serve them fully and giving them a solution that's convenient for them, that is positively pouring into them and helping them build up, becomes successful business people. You have to serve. And true serving means not looking at self enrichment. It's no different from an entrepreneur who had a problem or built up a solution, which that's all entrepreneurship is, right? And a business is. You find a problem and you solve it for others, and others are willing to exchange their money for it with no matter what the cost is because it's that good. But the thing is, true entrepreneurs, that takes time, that takes grinding, that takes work, that also takes crafting whatever the solution is that you see the problem that you want to solve, and then putting it out there once it's finalized and seeing how it does. But if you could just find a you could find a opportunity to name a fraud for essential programs that really are for people that really need help and find loopholes just to enrich yourself real quick in the name of American taxpayer money, they're not gonna come to California. Oh, this is open shop. This is easy. I don't gotta do that much work. I could just get a building and say I'm helping the homeless, but really not, and make money and get federal government money in the name of American taxpayer dollars. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm great. I'm running a successful nonprofit, and half of them individuals don't even be in the building, or you don't even see a proof of the homeless being helped. And that's the beauty of, United States of America. We don't mind helping people, but just genuinely do what you say you're going to do and respect American taxpayer money. So this is a woman. She said she wasn't a big fan of Spencer Pratt until she was informed about this.
So right now, the prediction market Kalshi has Karen Bass, the sitting mayor, at 68% chances to win, and Spencer Pratt's only at 26%. Do you think it should be higher or lower for Spencer?
Lower.
You'd think that he should have less odds.
I'm not a big fan of Spencer Pratt.
What?
I don't think he's the smartest guy in the world, so I don't think that would be the best position for him.
So, do you know about his platform?
I don't really know. I just know that he's married to Heidi and all of that, but he sort of got his start on reality TV and was the villain. But
do you know why he decided to run, though?
I don't, actually.
So his house burnt down on the Palisades wildfire, and LA had a very slow response. So a lot of people lost everything.
Okay.
So he ran so that he could help clean up the wildfire preparedness as well as the response time.
Well, that's respectable. I wasn't aware of that.
Have you heard of Skid Row?
Yeah.
Did you know that some of those people are drug users and they're testing their drugs on the dogs to make sure that it's safe for them before they do it?
No.
Spencer Pratt wants to put an end to that. One of his campaign taglines is vote Spencer to save the dogs.
I mean, honestly, I knew none of those things about Spencer Pratt. And that's very honorable, and I would tend to...
I find it very contradicting now because you basically already had a premeditated perception of Spencer Pratt, but you weren't informed of nothing that he stood for. So the simple fact is, 9 times out of 10, not saying I don't know, I'm not her, I'm not in her mind, but she basically seen a TikTok or something, or some type of talking points, and basically said, "Oh, I don't like this guy," but didn't really go and inform herself. And this is why I do these videos, to speak the truth and just have an honest conversation and let you guys think for yourself. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm just putting information out there in front of you, having a conversation that can get the juices flowing for you to think for yourself and look at it from a different perspective. And you guys have a conversation with me down in the comments and you share your perspective. Right? That's the beauty of it, but we're going to speak in truth to actually know what's going on. So the reality is she called Spencer Pratt not that much smart, but the reality is she didn't know nothing that Spencer Pratt was running on. So who's really not that smart? No pun intended. No disrespect. And she said, he's not smart at all. Let's take it a step further. Everybody doesn't know everything. But the simple fact is, Donald Trump can't be everywhere at once. He's the president, and he's handling the most powerful position on the land. But that's why he has a smart team around him, and loyalty does is essential because you guys, with you guys' expertise, can all come together. And the individuals that he puts on his administration are tentacles that can reach out to be in places that he can't be, get the information back, sit at a round table, and all come together for the betterment of the country. Right? So everybody doesn't know everything. And that's the beauty of why we always should keep learning. So I don't know, just a lot of ignorant takes there. But also, this last clip I want to show you guys now. An LA mayor candidate Spencer Pratt is surging so much in the race against Karen Bass that the Democratic machine is lashing out, launching desperate attacks. Pratt is seizing on anger regarding homelessness, fires, crime, and you know depolitication. Depolitation. People are freaking out. He's gaining this kind of traction, quote unquote, after he's been gaining such ground and support by being so organic. You're seeing an elites attack come in a big way, quote unquote. People months ago weren't taking him seriously. Now worried he's got a real shot. Keep pushing, Spencer Pratt. So I want you guys to check out this Fox clip, and then I will wrap it up, and then let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments.
The criminal activity is happening there, and he's saying you don't have to live this way. Well, after he's been gaining such ground and such support by being so organic, you're seeing the elite attack him in a big way. And the latest person to attack him is Drew Carey. This is what he said: anyone who votes or endorses Spencer Pratfall for mayor of LA needs to get their head out of their ass. I understand being angry, unsatisfied, but at least get behind someone competent, not a serial scammer without a soul or moral compass. Blank this guy already. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and I think part of that is Drew Carey's like, oh boy, Spencer Pratt, who people months ago weren't taking seriously, are now worried he's actually possibly got a real shot. And you look at the fundraising, right? It's literally, Spencer Pratt has raised over $2 million compared to Karen Bass, who barely has over $200,000. And it's not just the LA fires issue that what started his campaign, but the whole part about the crime, the homeless, the potholes. He talks about potholes, and all of a sudden, Angelinos are saying, you know what? Life under Mayor Bass sucks. Like, It's not going to work. Status quo can't go. So maybe I take a flyer on this guy. And so people like Drew Carey are freaking out that he's gaining this kind of traction.
Yeah, so before getting into TV, I spent about a decade working in politics on races as well as a vice president of a polling firm. So I love watching this.
It's interesting because it also makes you question, what do Drew Carey actually stand for if he's sitting here to be able to bash Spencer Pratt about common sense issues that he's fighting for, and basically saying you don't have to live like this. And this is the thing. This is my point, family. You vote for the politician, whoever you may choose, of your choosing, that actually upholds infrastructure and the importance of the quality of life in your city, which can be successful, and in turn, which helps you as you seize opportunities that come with that, because then businesses and things come there, and tourism and money comes in, where then you can enjoy the more luxuries of that state, which can be beautiful, such as Los Angeles. So you vote for the politician that actually deliver results and uphold infrastructure, and even expands for the beauty of your city and beautify it even further. So all of this, right? Spencer Pratt then backed down when Bass violated election law. He filed a formal complaint with documented evidence, went public with it. He put his name behind it. This is what happened. It's against the law. All of that, right? And when you look at the mainstream outlets like TMZ are saying now, they're predicting Pratt could actually finish in first. A few months ago, nobody was taking him seriously. Now predictions have shifted because people are voting with their feet and dollars and sending a clear message about what they think of the status quo. What happened next is really revealing because you started seeing attacks on Pratt from celebrities and establishment figures. You got Drew Carey, we just seen, came out and called him a quote unquote serial scammer and telling people they need to make different choices. Other celebrities follow suit. But here's what those attacks actually tell you. The people in power are panicking, and if Pratt was some friend's candidate, they wouldn't waste their breath attacking him. But when an incumbent mayor is losing ground and a challenger is gaining real momentum, that's when you see the pressure come down from above. The attacks prove the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. They prove that Pratt is a genuine threat to the way that things have been going. Now, let's cut through all the noise and focus on what's actually true. The video proves Bass broke the law. That's not an opinion. That's not a talking point. It's documented fact that you can watch yourself. The real question isn't whether she violated election law, it's rather if she'll face actual consequences for it, or rather having a title protects you from accountability. That's the question that matters. But if a sitting mayor can violate election law on camera and nothing happens, you send a message to everyone else in power that the rules are flexible. The voters in LA are making a choice that goes beyond one person. They're choosing between someone who made promises and didn't deliver them, or someone offering to try a different approach. And they're choosing between accepting things the way they are or demanding something better. And that's what every election really comes down to. And right now, change is what people are voting for. And here's the bottom line. And this applies way beyond Los Angeles. Rules only work if you apply them to everyone. No exceptions. Bass violated election law on camera. Now she's facing the results of her own actions. That's how it's supposed to work. This isn't about being Republican or Democrat. It's about basic accountability. Nobody gets treated differently because of their position. The people of LA have a choice in front of them. They really do. And they can keep someone who promised results and didn't deliver, or they can try something different. And the real question we should all be asking ourselves is, why did it take someone like Spencer Pratt to hold a sitting mayor accountable for breaking the law? Why isn't that the normal expectation? When leaders stop respecting the rules, communities stop respecting their leadership. Pay attention to what your leaders are actually doing versus what they promise is all I'm gonna say. Hold them to the same standard, and that's how you keep power honest. Let me know what you guys think about in the comments below. I'm curious. I'll catch you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.